You think you pressed play, but something pressed you back. You're not walking through the forest is walking you. Every step you take, chemistry suggested it. Every trail you choose, roots negotiated it. You call it a hike. We call it rooting nutrients. Free will with shoes. Look at your hands. Skin, cells, bacteria, fungi. You're not a person, you're a habitat. A condominium of microbes arguing about what to eat for lunch. More non-human than human. And still you say me. Cute. Above you, galaxies branch. Lightning branches. Neurons branch. Mycelium branches. Nothing stacks. Only fragile things stack. Everything important connects. So listen closely. The network is moving again. The spores are traveling. The signal is rising. And one of our loudest fruits is broadcasting tonight. Switching frequencies, handing the signal to Nova.
Signal received, Sporekeeper. Hey, Myco listeners, this is Nova. And if that transmission didn't gently dissolve your sense of individuality, welcome back to the Mushroom Network. Let's get you oriented. Because while the mycelium has been whispering, we've been busy building. And not skyscrapers, signal towers grown out of spores. First up, did you know we've been quietly cultivating our own radio station? Yeah. While everyone else was building playlists and social media posts, we planted transmitters. TMN Radio is alive. Check it out at TMN-radio.com. The hottest underground station in the Mycoverses. Music, deep cuts, experimental signals, stuff that sounds like it crawled out of a cave with glowing eyes and a subwoofer. And we even spun up a substation dedicated exclusively to the Myco Emporium booth and line. So if you ever wondered what the booth would sound like if it had a heartbeat, now you know. And for those asking, what happened to fungal frontiers? We didn't disappear. We went subterranean, like mycelium does. You don't see the work happening. Then suddenly, mushrooms everywhere. So yeah, cosmic spore line cooking, announcements fruiting after March. Stay tuned. Now let's get into today's mushroom news and updates. All right, Myco listeners, boots on, signal stable, coffee metabolized. Let's scan the horizon, because the world keeps accidentally becoming more fungal every week. And honestly, it's kind of beautiful. So first one is interesting. And by interesting, I mean institutional eyebrow raise. The United States Department of Defense just expanded their standard drug screening panel. And they added psilocin. Yep, the primary compound from magic fungi. Pronounced fungi. Because language is important and we respect our squishy ancestors. This officially went live back on October 1st, 2025. Meaning it's already active. So yeah, they're already scanning for it as we speak. Somewhere, a lab tech is literally testing pee for mushrooms. And officially, it's framed as readiness and safety. Totally normal. Very paperwork. Very clipboards. But zoom out for a second. You don't start testing for something unless you feel it spreading. You don't install smoke detectors in an empty field. So what are they reacting to? Therapy research? Veterans exploring healing? Cultural momentum? Legal shifts? Or just the fact that mushrooms keep popping up in every serious conversation about mental health, like, hey, maybe trauma isn't solved by yelling at it. It feels less like prevention, and more like institutions going, something biological is happening and we'd like a spreadsheet, please. But networks don't fit in spreadsheets. You can't regulate a mycelium, you just end up testing the dirt. Meanwhile, across the planet, legal reform maps are lighting up like little bioluminescent spores. Decriminalization here, therapeutic access there, clinical trials popping up like mushrooms after rain. Some regions pushing forward. some regions clutching their policies like old sweaters. But the trend? It bends toward integration, not eradication. And that's pure fungal logic. When the environment changes, you don't fight the soil. You reroute. You adapt. You collaborate. So watching governments try to manage psychedelics right now feels like a very slow slime mold solving a maze. Confused, wiggly, but somehow still moving toward nutrients. Policy as biology. I swear half of sociology is just mycology in a suit. Next up, and this one feels straight out of fungal frontiers. Researchers are now using AI systems to sift through massive fungal data sets. Taxonomy, growth patterns, ecosystem behavior. Stuff so huge humans literally can't see the structure. But AI can. It starts noticing hidden relationships, connections we missed, flow lines we didn't even know existed. And that's wild because we built machines, and now the machines are starting to think like forests, not boxes, not categories, not this or that. More like everything talks to everything, which is exactly how mycelium already works. So AI isn't inventing new intelligence, it's rediscovering fungal logic. We accidentally coded the internet, and now the internet is becoming mushrooms. Somewhere a spore is like, finally, took you long enough, humans. Last one today. And this one is deep time stuff. Like stars were in beta testing deep. Scientists found fossil evidence of fungal symbiosis in early land plants, dating back roughly 407 million years. 400 million. That's before animals, before trees as we know them, before anything with eyeballs or bad opinions. Life wasn't competing yet. It was cooperating, trading nutrients, sharing chemistry, building together. So cooperation isn't some advanced spiritual achievement. It's literally the default setting of life. Competition? That might actually be the weird late-game patch humans installed. And that leads perfectly into today's deep dive. Because once you see this pattern, you can't unsee it. Everything important in nature connects. Trees to roots, roots to mycelium, mycelium to everything. And honestly, so does this show. Because before we step all the way into the soil, we're gonna let the frequencies breathe for a minute. We've got a myco break coming up. Stretch your legs, hydrate, pet your nearest houseplant, tell your microbes you appreciate them. And when we come back, we're lighting the signal coils. Another sportacular jam session of fungal frequencies, deep spores, resonant bass, stuff that sounds like the forest learned how to DJ. So if your speakers start photosynthesizing, don't panic. That's normal. Then, after the frequencies melt your brain just enough, we descend. Straight into today's Myco-Deep-Dive. Symbiotic systems. Why life chooses cooperation. How the planet actually works when nobody's trying to win. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to TMN Radio. This is the Mushroom Network, and we'll be right back after the Myco break.
Are you tired of the same three corporations controlling all the music you hear?
Yeah, so were we. So we said spore it and made our own. Welcome to TMN Radio, where we've infected the airwaves with fungi-powered frequencies. We got underground bangers, myco-deep-dives, and cosmic beats big box media is too scared to touch. 24/7. No ads, except this one. And, well, these are actually technically called myco breaks. So inhale some mycelium-infused air, embrace your inner tree hugger, and get ready for some mind-blowing mycomania. The Mushroom Network has spoken. You've been chosen.
Tune in, the hottest growing underground network around.
TMN Radio. It's alive.
All right. Hello, Myco listeners. Hello to all you cosmic travelers tuning in. We are tapping you directly into the circuit now.
We're live.
This is another Mushroom Network Myco-Deep-Dive, and today we're opening a file titled Just Once, When Moss Remembers the Stars.
Good one.
We're pulling the feed, as always, directly from the grand cosmic mycelial network. There's no preamble. We're already here.
It happens instantly, doesn't
A
it?
shift, yeah.
The shift is immediate. But let's be precise about what the shift actually is.
Yeah.
You're reacting to a measurable change in atmospheric pressure, not just a feeling.
I was just noticing that transition. We talk about going for a walk in the woods, like it's this thing we schedule, an activity.
Another item on the to-do list.
Yeah, exactly. 2 p.m., commune with nature. But there's that one specific millisecond, right? The moment your foot leaves the gravel of the parking lot and hits the soil, the whole posture of the world changes.
It does.
It's not just that things get quiet. It's like walking into a room where everyone was just talking about you and they all just stopped.
Yeah, that is a perfect description of a pressure change. We interpret it through a social lens, but physically, it's a reallocation of resources. The entire acoustic profile of the environment changes because the surfaces themselves change.
It feels heavier, the air. Not in a humid way, just more present, like it suddenly has mass that it didn't have 5 seconds ago.
That's the dampening. That's the sound being absorbed instead of reflected. The forest is clocking you. I think that's the part that people miss. We have this profoundly romantic idea of the walk in the woods.
Oh, totally.
You get your coffee, you put on your expensive waterproof boots, you check your GPS watch, and you tell yourself, I am going to clear my head.
I need to get away from the noise. That's the mantra, isn't it? Find some peace and quiet.
The very cute, very human lie. The forest does not care about your mental clarity. It has absolutely no interest in your caffeine intake or your stress levels from work. To the system, you are simply mass.
Mass.
You are displacement. You are a localized disruption in the thermal gradient. You are an unexpected concentration of carbon dioxide.
But it feels so personal, that quietness. It feels expectant, like it's waiting for you to say something to introduce yourself.
See, that's the mistake right there. We call it silence because the human noise drops away. The traffic, the electrical hum, all the static of our world. But it is not silence.
Yeah.
It's attention. The ground softens? Yes, but that's just physics soil mechanics versus asphalt.
Yeah.
But the birds, pausing. That's not them being scared. That's a conscious reallocation of their processing power. They stop broadcasting so they can allocate all available bandwidth to listening, to you.
So that feeling, that pressure behind my eyes when I walk in, that sense that the trees are sort of leaning closer, that's not just me being poetic.
No, it is entirely functional. You have just walked into a surveillance state.
A surveillance state. Wow.
It just happens to be a biological one, not a technological one.
Right.
The entire bioacoustic feedback loop of this environment has been interrupted by a foreign object, and that object is you.
And it's deeply unsettling if you actually stay with that feeling for a minute. We are so conditioned to be the observers, you know? We go to the zoo, we look at the animals in the cage, we go to the forest, we look at the trees.
We are the subject, they are the object.
Right. But here, the moment you step off that manicured path, you become the object. You are the variable that the entire system is actively trying to solve.
And it solves you very, very quickly. That's the humbling part. It calculates your weight from the pressure on the root systems. It calculates your speed. It analyzes your chemical output, the cortisol in your sweat, the specific signature of your breath.
It's reading me.
Instantly.
Yeah.
And once it categorizes you as a non-threat or low-priority anomaly, the background noise resumes. The birds start up again. But for that first minute or so, you are the most interesting and potentially dangerous thing in the woods.
It's funny you use the phrase solving the variable, because once that initial shock wears off and the system decides I'm not a threat, my eyes always go to the ground, to the forest floor.
To the infrastructure.
Exactly. I was looking at the notes on the mycelial layer. It's so easy to look at a forest and just see a collection of individuals. There's a pine tree, there's a fern, there's a birch over there. They're just neighbors. They have their own little property lines.
Which is the brochure version of reality.
Yes.
That's a capitalist overlay. We can't help but project onto everything. We assume it all operates like a suburb.
Right. The polite version. Good morning, Mr. Oak. Lovely weather, Mrs. Fern.
Please keep your roots on your side of the property line.
Yes. But the reality, what's really going on is that the forest is not a collection of polite individuals. It is a distributed organism.
It's a singular, contiguous system that is merely pretending to be a forest so that your human nervous system doesn't short circuit from the sheer complexity of it all.
A singular system. I mean, that's a huge claim. I'm looking at one tree right here and another one 20 feet away. They aren't touching.
Above ground, they aren't touching, but we're only seeing the interface, the terminals. Think about the logistics of it. Underneath our feet, right now, there are trillions of miles of filaments.
Trillions. not millions.
Trillions. With a T. The source material is very clear. This isn't poetry, it's plumbing. It's fiber optics. It's the circulatory system and the nervous system combined.
And these are the hyphae.
The hyphae, correct. These are the threads, often just a single cell wall thick, that weave the entire soil column into a single superstructure. And they aren't just holding the dirt together, they're routing logic. They're actively moving data and matter.
Routing logic? That sounds like a circuit board. I mean, usually when we think of roots, we think of them as passive straws. They just sit there and suck up water. But you're describing something active, intentional.
Precisely. If you look at how nutrients actually move in this system, it completely dismantles our most basic economic theories. In a human city, if you have a surplus of food and your neighbor is starving, you hoard the food. You put it in a warehouse, you protect it because you own it.
Right. Ownership is the core algorithm.
The primary algorithm of human civilization. In the network, ownership is treated as a glitch. It's a processing error, a hallucination.
So walk me through that. Let's say you have a huge old Douglas fir. It's in a sunny spot, photosynthesizing like crazy, producing way more sugar than it needs.
It doesn't have it. It doesn't own it. The network identifies a gradient. A high concentration of carbon here and a low concentration over there, where a sapling is struggling in the shade.
So it's a supply and demand problem.
And the network is the logistic solution. It opens the valve. The fungi, specifically the mycorrhizal network that connects the roots to the filaments, acts as the courier. It moves the carbon from the source of plenty to the source of need. It moves phosphorus. It moves water.
But why? I mean, why would the fungus care if some little sapling in the shade survives? Isn't evolution all about survival of the fittest? Why prop up the weakling?
That is the fundamental misunderstanding of fitness. We think it's about the individual winning. But fitness and a complex system is about the entire ecosystem persisting.
So it's not about the one tree, it's about the whole forest.
Exactly. If the neighbor dies, the structural integrity of the canopy weakens. That lets more wind in, which can damage the larger trees. The soil dries out faster. The ambient humidity drops. Then the fungus itself is at risk.
Everyone suffers.
Everyone suffers. The network protects its assets, and the entire forest is the asset.
So it's a kind of selfish altruism?
Or maybe just pure unsentimental logistics. The system understands on a chemical level that hoarding leads to systemic collapse. It routes around damage. It sends out chemical alerts.
Like an emergency broadcast system.
The notes mention this specifically. If a pine beetle starts attacking a tree on the other side of this valley, say 3 miles from here, the mycelium transmits a distress signal.
A chemical signal.
A packet of information, a specific molecule that propagates through the soil. And the trees here, where we're standing now, will receive that signal and start producing defensive toxins in their sap before the beetle ever arrives.
That's incredible. It's a distributed immune system.
It is the internet, but it never needed a password. It doesn't serve you ads, and it has zero latency issues when it really counts. It connects the haves with the have-nots to ensure that the all survives.
You know, when you describe it like that, these signals firing, resources being moved around, decisions being made, it sounds so familiar. It sounds like a brain.
And that is the core architectural parallel. That's the insight.
But there is no brain here. That's the part I can't get past. There's no central server farm hidden in a cave somewhere. There's no king mushroom sitting on a throne directing all the traffic.
No, it's all decentralized edge computing, if you want a tech analogy.
And that's what freaks people out, I think. We are obsessed with the idea of a center. The head of state, the CEO, the brain. We cannot imagine intelligence without a headquarters.
But look at the patterns. Look at the diagrams from the source material. The way a root system branches looks exactly like the way lightning forks across the sky.
Which in turn looks just like the way blood vessels branch out in the lung.
Which looks like the branching of neurons in a brain.
Which looks like the way galaxies cluster along cosmic filaments.
It is the exact same engineering solution. How to efficiently distribute energy or information across a surface applied at every conceivable scale.
So the source material poses this question that I just can't shake. If the architecture is identical everywhere we look, why do we insist that intelligence requires a brain?
It's a profound bias of our species. We have a brain, therefore we assume the brain is the only legitimate hardware for thought. We are hardware chauvinists.
But what if it's not? What if the brain is just an interface? What if the brain is just the mobile app for the much larger network?
Right. The network usually just sits there, embedded in the soil. It's the mainframe, it's the cloud storage. But every now and then it wants to get up and walk around and, argue with itself.
So it builds a squirrel. or a human.
And when that squirrel or that human dies,
It just logs off. The matter returns to the network. The account is closed.
decomposition is just a supply chain return, a controlled demolition. Nothing is ever lost. It's just reassigned. The nitrogen that was in that squirrel becomes nitrogen in the soil, which it becomes nitrogen in this pine tree right here.
No waste, just a change in status. It's comforting in a very grim, logistical way.
It's just a state change.
Speaking of things that change state, can we talk about the things that don't seem to move at all? The things that just occupy? Because the mycelium is underground, it's all hidden, but there's this other layer right on top of everything that we almost always ignore.
You're talking about the moss.
I'm talking about the moss. I was looking at this huge boulder over here in the visual data stream. The way the moss is sitting on it, it's strange. It doesn't look like it grew there in the way a flower grows.
A flower pushes up. It struggles. It's an event.
Exactly. A flower is an act of effort against gravity, but moss just lands. It looks like it was draped there, poured over the rock.
Like a texture map that hasn't fully loaded in a video game.
Yes, that's it exactly. It's like a rendering error. Like the planet's graphics card glitched and it just slapped a green texture over the base geometry to hide the fact it wasn't finished. It feels both unfinished and somehow like the final state of things.
That's a very specific aesthetic, but I know precisely what you mean. Moss feels ancient because it operates on a time scale that makes our entire civilization look like a brief, frantic vibration.
It's the patience. That's what gets me. A mushroom, one of the fungi, can pop up overnight. It's all drama. Here I am, look at me.
And then it liquefies and vanishes 3 days later.
But moss is playing the long game. It's investing for the deep future.
Conquest via patience. That's the phrase from the source notes that stood out to me. Moss does not care about your quarterly reports. It has no interest in our traffic jams or our deadlines. Moss watched the glaciers move.
Just imagine that. Imagine perceiving time on a scale where you can watch a block of ice, a mile-high slide across a continent and think to yourself, wow, that's moving a bit too fast for my taste.
For Moss, a glacier is a high-speed chase.
But it's not just sitting there. It's not passive. It looks passive, but the data says it's actually aggressive in a very slow way.
It is eating the rock.
Eating it.
Slowly. Moss secretes a series of very mild acids that dissolve the crystalline structure of the stone over centuries, over millennia. It is literally turning the mountain into soil. It creates the substrate upon which everything else depends.
So this whole forest that we're standing in, all these giant trees, the ferns, the undergrowth, they are all essentially standing on the work that moss began 10,000 years ago.
Correct. Moss is the terraformer, is the first responder to a barren landscape. When a volcano erupts and leaves nothing but sterile, black rock, who shows up first?
The green velvet.
The moss. It arrives on the wind as spores, finds a microscopic crack, and begins the long work of stitching the wound. It is the scar tissue of the planet.
And it does all this by, what was the word you used before? Listening.
It has to listen. Moss has no true roots. Did you know that?
Nate, really? No, I just assumed everything green had roots. How does it get water? How does it eat?
It has rhizoids, which are just simple anchors to hold it in place, but it doesn't have a vascular system to drill down into the water table like a tree. It drinks through its skin.
Through its leaves?
The entire organism is a membrane. It absorbs moisture and nutrients directly from the air and the rain that falls on it, which means it has to be hypersensitive to the slightest change in humidity, to the temperature gradients, to the chemical composition of the air. It's basically an exposed nerve ending draped over a rock.
That sounds incredibly vulnerable, being that exposed. I mean, if the sun comes out too hot for too long, you just cook. You can't pull water from deep underground to save yourself.
Or it's a form of mastery. If the air dries out, moss doesn't die. It just goes dormant. It desiccates. It pauses its metabolic functions. It can wait for years, even decades, for the next rain.
Yeah.
It recalibrates its internal calendar.
It just waits.
It waits. The source material mentions that moth populations are already adjusting their spore release timings to match the shifts of climate change.
Yeah.
It isn't panicking. It isn't holding a summit or drafting a resolution. It just shifts.
There's a line from the notes that's stuck in my head. Loud systems break. Moss adjusts.
Precisely. We build these huge, rigid, brittle cities that fall into chaos if the power grid flickers for 3 days. We build systems that require constant, massive inputs of energy and maintenance just to keep from falling apart.
And moss survives planetary ice ages.
So who is really the advanced intelligence here?
It makes you feel very fast and very, very stupid. You know, we're all running around frantically trying to fix things, and the moss is just waiting for us to finish our tantrums so it can get back to work.
We are high-velocity, low-efficiency organisms. Moss is the definition of low-velocity, high-efficiency.
But speaking of high velocity, we have to talk about the water because there's something over there in that pond moving incredibly fast, and normally I have to admit I hate it.
The duckweed?
Duckweed. It's like the glitter of the plant world. You get one tiny piece on you and you can never get it off. It covers everything. It feels so aggressive, like an invasion.
It is aggressive. But the deep dive notes have a fascinating framing for it. They call it acceleration with feedback.
Which means what exactly?
Well, normally when we see something in nature growing that fast, it can double its entire biomass every couple of days. We immediately think of something destructive. Cancer, a virus, a system that consumes until it kills its host.
Right. It chokes out all the sunlight, it deoxygenates the water, it kills the fish and ruins a swimming hole. That's the story we tell.
But duckweed is different. It grows incredibly fast, yes. But look at why it's growing and what it does. It sucks up excess nutrients. If a farm upstream has fertilizer runoff, that nitrogen and phosphorus hits the pond and triggers a bloom. The duckweed explodes into existence to capture that poison.
So it's not the disease, it's the immune response.
It's the rapid response cleanup crew. It cleans the water, it binds heavy metals and excess nitrates into its own body, removing them from the ecosystem. It is stabilization through speed. It proves you can be fast without being destructive.
That is a heavy reframing because I always associate fast with careless. We move fast, we break things. Move fast to break things is literally the celebrated motto of the modern tech world.
And the motto of the ecosystem is move at the speed of necessity. Sometimes that speed is glacial, like the moss eating a rock. Sometimes that speed is explosive, like duckweed cleaning a polluted pond.
Yeah.
The key difference is connection.
Feedback.
Duckweed is moving fast, but it is constantly listening to the chemistry of the water. It stops growing when the nutrients are balanced. Humans are moving fast, but we deliberately stopped listening to the feedback loops.
We didn't just stop listening, we cut the wires. We put a brick on the accelerator and threw the map out the window.
We decided that growth for the sake of growth was the goal, regardless of the cost to the system that supports us. Duckweed knows that growth is a temporary tool to achieve balance. Once balance is restored, it becomes food for fish and birds.
Okay.
It cycles back.
It's the difference between collaboration and conquest.
Exactly.
It's just so strange thinking about these things as having strategies. Moss is the strategist of time, duckweed is the strategist of speed, and the mycelium is the strategist of what?
Connection.
Logistics, infrastructure. The mycelial layer is the road system, the internet, and the grocery delivery service all rolled into one.
And we are just walking through it, unaware.
We're walking in it. You can't walk through something that you're a part of.
Okay, let's try to step out of it for a second, at least in our minds. Let's say we leave the woods. We go back to our human-built environments, our houses, our apartments, but the patterns follow us.
They do?
I was looking at the section on cosmic moss structures, these human-made designs, the 3D printed forms, the algorithmic architecture.
Forms derived from fungal logic.
Yeah, and you look at a lamp or a chair or even a whole building designed with these algorithms, and it doesn't look like it was built. It looks like it grew there. It has that branching cellular logic.
It does. And I've noticed when I'm in a room with those kinds of shapes, my body responds. My shoulders drop. I actually relax. I breathe deeper. Why is that?
It's biological recognition.
What do you mean? Why would I feel safer around a complex fractal shape than a simple predictable cube? A cube is solid. A cube is safe. A fractal feels chaotic.
But a cube is alien. Nature almost never makes cubes or straight lines. Nature makes fractals. You feel comfortable around those shapes because on a deep cellular level, you are looking in a mirror.
Okay, unpack that a little, because I'm pretty sure I don't look like a fern.
Don't you? Take a look at your own lungs. If you were to cast a mold of your bronchial tubes, all the branching airways, what would it look like?
It would look like an upside-down tree.
Now look at your nervous system, the way your neurons branch and connect.
It looks like a root system.
Look at the way your blood vessels have to branch out to distribute oxygen to every cell in your body. It is the exact same branching algorithm as a river delta. It's the same algorithm as the mycelium. You feel comfortable around these shapes because they're your family photos. Your body recognizes the math.
That's both oddly comforting and deeply terrifying at the same time. It means I'm not nearly as original as I like to think I am.
None of us are. We are not separate observers of this universal architecture. We are walking talking evidence of it. The notes call it translating the logic.
Translating, not imitating.
A crucial distinction. When we build our cities with rigid grids and perfect boxes, we are fighting against the fundamental geometry of life. We are creating cognitive and biological friction. Nature does not do right angles. Nature does flow. Nature does fractals.
So when an architect or a designer creates one of these organic structures, they aren't just imitating the look of nature.
Imitation is cheap. Imitation is shallow biomimicry. Look, I made a lamp that's shaped like a flower. That's just decor. It's kitsch.
It's decoration, right?
But if you use the logic of the flower, if you study how it evolved to maximize its surface area to catch sunlight, how its structure is designed to withstand wind and channel water, and then you apply that logic to building a solar panel or a skyscraper, then you are translating, you are speaking the language of the network.
You're building with the grain of the universe, not against it.
And that's why your body relaxes. It is a frequency match. Your internal architecture recognizes its external counterpart.
A frequency match. I like that. I was thinking about that phrase from the file, fractal frequencies. It suggests that we're all just localized expressions of the same overarching pattern.
We are.
Like you can zoom in on a coastline and the pattern looks the same as when you zoom out, if you zoom in on a human.
You see the same branching patterns as you do in a galaxy cluster?
So are we just nodes in the network?
The forest sees you as a node that learned to walk.
Wow. A node that learned to walk. That really strips away a lot of the ego, doesn't it? It implies that we have a function within a larger system, not that we are the system.
Think about it this way. The same fundamental intelligence that learned over eons how to efficiently route nutrients through soil is now using your brain to route concepts through language.
So this conversation, us talking right now, this deep dive,
is the network thinking about itself?
Or arguing with itself?
Or maybe just dreaming?
It implies that our thoughts aren't entirely our own. I mean, they happen inside our heads, but they're also just signals, ripples in the pond.
Your thoughts propagate just like those chemical signals in the soil. You have an idea. You share it with me. I build on it. Someone listening to this hears it. The idea spreads. It changes behavior. Maybe one person who hears this decides not to pave over their backyard.
And that's the network acting through an idea to protect itself.
Why not?
Are we just the spores of consciousness then?
We could be. We're a mechanism for transport. We carry the code, the ideas, into new environments and see if they take root.
That brings it all back to the title, doesn't it? When Moss remembers the stars.
It does.
If we're all just expressions of the same matter, the same patterns repeating over and over at different scales, then the moss on that rock isn't separate from the stars in the sky.
Of course not. It's all hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen. It's all recycled star stuff, reassembled into different temporary shapes. The moss sits on the rock and remembers being in a nebula because it is the nebula, just in a different configuration. It never disconnected from that fact.
We're the only ones who think we disconnected.
We're the only ones with an ego large enough to believe we could actually lease the system. We built concrete wall, we invented air conditioning, we created a digital world, and we told ourselves we had conquered nature, that we were separate.
That's the lie of the walk all over again. We think we can enter the woods and then we can leave the woods.
But you never leave. You can't. You just change your immediate surroundings. The air in your office is still part of the global atmosphere. The water from your tap is still part of the hydrological cycle. The trillions of bacteria in your gut are still calling most of the shots. You are a walking, talking ecosystem.
Then you step back onto the asphalt path. You hear the first car go by. Your phone buzzes in your pocket.
The artificial urgency returns.
The ping of the notification, the deadline, the fear of missing out, it all comes rushing back in like a tide.
But the state change is permanent.
Yeah.
Once you really see the infrastructure, once you understand that the moss is eating the rock and the duckweed is cleaning the water and the mycelium is running the whole show, you can't unsee it. You can never look at a simple patch of grass the same way again.
You don't listen the same way anymore.
No. You start to realize that what you called silence was just a band of frequencies you weren't tuned into.
And that feeling of isolation, that deep existential I am alone in the universe, feeling that keeps so many of us up at night.
It becomes much harder to believe when you know you are just a walking, thinking branch of a planetary scale superorganism.
It's a profound relief, honestly, to realize you don't have to run the whole show by yourself. The system has it covered.
The system has been running for about 4 billion years without your direct input. It will probably be fine.
So what do we do with that knowledge? We just keep walking.
You keep walking. But maybe we walk a little softer now. Maybe we listen for the dampening. Maybe when we see a patch of moss on a stone, we nod to it as a colleague.
A very, very senior colleague.
The senior partner in the firm. The one who was there when the whole thing started.
The founder.
Exactly, the founder.
You know, this is the point where we usually wrap things up. We say goodbye. We tell people where to find us.
That feels entirely wrong here in this context.
It really does. The forest doesn't say goodbye. The conversation just continues.
The signal doesn't stop. It just changes frequency. It gets absorbed by something else.
So we just stay in the stream.
We stay in the network.
Moss remembering the stars.
And us, for a moment, remembering the moss.
And the walk continues.
All right, listen up. This is big. Myco-Emporium just locked something special.
The connection is established. The supply line is alive.
We're talking exclusive access. Myco-Emporium now has the plug on 3G Nursery, the certified nursery of the Mushroom Network.
Not sourced, not outsourced. Grown under watch. Prepared with intention.
And for the first time ever, we're taking it to the public, in person. Booth events, face-to-face with living systems.
The cycle leaves the lab. The habitat meets the hands.
Here's what's coming with us. 3G duckweed, fast, alive, ridiculously useful. 3G lichen, ancient partnerships in miniature. 3G aeroplants, no soil, no nonsense, pure flex. Geozeno, lab-grown living stones that look like they came from a completely different mycoverse. 3G mulberry, roots with a future. 3G mythic passion flora, wild, trippy, strange, and absolutely unforgettable.
These are not decorations, they are introductions.
If you've ever wanted to walk up to a booth and feel like you just discovered something you weren't supposed to know yet,
This is your moment.
Myco-Emporium, 3G Nursery. Live, in person.
The system is opening. Stop walking. Don't take another step. Yeah, you. Boots, breathing, thinking you're on a hike. That's adorable. The forest clocked you 20 minutes ago. You're not walking through the forest. The forest is walking you. Timeline correction. Before you tied your shoes, before coffee, before you said, I need fresh air, like a stressed-out houseplant, the soil already knew. Mycelium ran the numbers, chemistry adjusted, hormones nudged. Tiny invisible board meeting under your feet like, motion to deploy tall calcium skeleton unit number 8472. Seconded. All in favor? Approved. Send him outside. He needs sunlight and existential recalibration. Boom. You're going for a walk. Free will or nutrient routing with shoes. But anyways, I love humans. Truly, you think you're deciding things. Meanwhile, a billion microbes are inside you like, bro, we crave dirt smells today. And you're like, I feel called to nature. No, you don't. Linda from Gut Bacteria Accounting wants minerals. You're the Uber driver. Let me ruin your sense of self real quick. You ready? You're mostly not you. Yeah, statistically, you are a walking apartment complex. Bacteria, fungi, microbes. Tiny, squishy roommates you did not vet. More non-human cells than human ones. You're not a person. You're a condominium with Wi-Fi and opinions. There's a yeast colony in your mouth that's been here longer than your last relationship. Your skin has its own ecosystem. Your stomach is basically a nightclub for microbes doing chemical karaoke. And you're out here like, I am an individual. Buddy, you're a committee. You're a parliament made of soup. If you zoomed in far enough, you'd look less like a hero and more like a yogurt. Just active cultures screaming. Anyway, back to the woods. Here's where it gets suspicious. If you're made of microbes, and microbes come from soil, and soil is run by mycelium, and mycelium is plugged into trees, and trees breathe the same air you breathe, at what exact point did you become separate? Show me the border. I'll wait. Exactly. There isn't one. You're not visiting the forest. You're a detachable extension cord that forgot what it's plugged into. And you know what the forest finds funniest? Towers. Humans love towers. Stack everything vertically. Boss on top, intern on bottom, concrete, glass, single point of failure, Jenga with mortgages. Meanwhile, the entire universe is over here like, hey, what if we just branched instead? Galaxies. Webs. Neurons. Webs. Lightning. Webs having an emotional breakdown. Mycelium? Underground spaghetti internet that actually works. No passwords, no ads, no comment sections. Just nutrients and warnings like, hey, Greg the Oak is dying. Copy that, sending carbon. Imagine if your internet did that. Instead, it sells you socks. Pathetic. Every successful thing branches. Everything important connects sideways. Only fragile things stack vertically and call it progress. Towers fall. Webs reroute. You cut one strand? Network shrugs. Cool. Go around. That's resilience. Not screaming, not dominating, not hustle culture. Just quiet rerouting. You ever notice moss? Of course you didn't. You were rushing. Moss is the pettiest organism alive. Moss doesn't fight. Moss doesn't compete. Moss just waits. Empires collapse? Moss. Nice. I'll take that rock now. Concrete cracks? Moss. Thank you for the real estate. Ice Age? Moss. I'll be here. Moss is time with a green sweater. You cannot outlast moss. Nobody outlasts moss. Moss has receipts older than your species. And don't even get me started on spores. Spores are anarchists. Spores do not respect property. Spores land wherever gravity feels spicy. They're like, mine? Yours? Cute words. Anyway, I live here now. Try explaining trespassing to a spore. Watch it drift into your nostril out of spite. Now zoom out. Further, 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 past trees, past earth, past your anxiety. See it? The pattern? Same shape everywhere. Branches, filaments, connections. Galaxies look like mycelium. Mycelium looks like neurons. Neurons look like lightning. Lightning looks like roots. The universe only knows one design, and it keeps remixing it like a DJ with commitment issues. The universe doesn't build towers, it builds webs. Because webs survive. Webs remember. Webs don't care if one node panics, they just keep flowing. And here's the part that melts people. You're already part of it. You always were. You're not a visitor. You're a temporary walking branch of a planetary nervous system with snacks and emotional baggage. You don't need permission to belong. You don't need permission to grow sideways. You don't need permission to rest. The network already filed the paperwork millions of years ago. So next time you decide to hike, just know, something underground scheduled you. Anyway, drink water, touch dirt, high-five some high-fay, be weird, connect sideways, confuse capitalism, grow like moss. And if you ever feel alone, remember, you're literally made of neighbors. I am your spore keeper, and this has been Fungal Reflections. Until next time, ask yourself one thing. If the universe only builds webs, why are you still trying to live like a tower? Rest. Spread. Remember, the network never lost you. You just forgot you were plugged in. container. That's weather. Humidity storms rolling across moss canopies. Morning dew condensing on leaves the size of galaxies. Isopod caravans crossing the forest floor. Springtails launching like microscopic comets. This isn't decor. It isn't a pet. It's an ecosystem. Alive. Breathing. Recycling its own universe while you sleep. Every jar, every cup, every enclosure. A self-sustaining planet, waiting for a caretaker. Adopt one, grow one, build your own living world. Myco Emporium, life scaled to your shelf.
Stations synchronized. From the golden to the cavern, light the smoke like falling stars. Signal strong, we move as one. The underground is who we are. Numbers bar, Lego maps that don't hold up. Sub frequencies bloom like fire. Roots climb higher, higher, higher. Breathing dust and iron rain. Baseline rolling through the brain. Every pulse a tribal mark. Carved in shale and obsidian bar. We don't speak, we pulse instead. Messages through the kick and snare. Feel the floor begin to bend. Something more awakened. Mountains frame. Hands to stone, bones to tone, core awake, systems grown, pressure rising, chambers cracking, network stacking. Drums attacking.
this broadcast, you're already connected.
mycelium signal rise, the network calls.
With a circuit heart.
Root shock, feel the ground talk. Boot step, make the bedrock walk. War drums, wired to the mycelium signal rise, the network call. Root shock, feel the ground talk. Boot step, make the bedrock walk. War drums, wired to the mycelium signal rise, the network calls. Stop like Titan feet. Metal sparks where the rhythms meet. Glitch chirps got a node to node. Breadcrumb trails in overload. Fungal banners black and green. Marching through the in-between. Every root a fiber line. Every beat a warning sign.
Down below, grow slow. Stack the tone. Claim the stone.
Sky, no light, just drums, stand by. Transmit, break the crust. Transmit. Rise with us.
too late.
Myco-verse transmission acknowledged. Signal coherence within acceptable variance. Biological input successfully received. Cognitive resonance detected. Listener node classified as active participant. No corrective action required. This channel will now enter dormancy. Ambient systems remain operational. Memory persistence is not guaranteed. Influence persistence is inevitable. You are cleared to disengage. The network does not require your attention to continue. Myco-verse audio transmission complete.